Can drilling for oil in Jamaica's waters trigger or be the trigger for Jamaica experiencing a perceptive increase in felt earthquakes? For many individuals whom would have engaged with our previous post or one of our posts where we pose the question, uh, why is Jamaica experiencing an increase in earthquakes? Persons on TikTok are of the view, many of them, that the increase, perceived increase, is as a result of the drilling for oil. Now, let me just be very clear that as per media houses, Jamaica is not yet drilling for oil at the time of this video, that is, which is January 30, 2026. So, on that regard, it is not the case whereby the drilling for oil is the reason. Still, with that being said, the aim of this video is basically to delve into why and or how, uh, for many persons, they can be of the view that the drilling of oil is a factor behind uh, an increase in earthquakes. So, essentially, can the drilling of oil trigger earthquakes? And simply put, the answer is yes. So, I believe many of you who indicate that Jamaica experiencing earthquakes as a result of oil drilling, through your research, you should more than likely would have come across the term fracking. So, according to United States Geological Survey, this article, fracking intentionally causes small earthquakes, magnitudes smaller than 1, generally speaking, that is, to enhance permeability. But it has also been linked to larger earthquakes. The largest known to be induced by hydraulic fracturing in the United States was a magnitude 4 earthquake in Texas. Now, in addition to natural gas, fracking fluids and salt water trapped in the same formation as the gas tend to be returned to the surface. Wastewater are frequently disposed of by injecting into deep well, and the injection of wastewater and salt water into the subsurface can actually cause earthquakes. And again, in the United States, through wastewater hydraulic injection, magnitude 5 plus would have been experienced back in 2016, as per this article. So, just to reiterate, yes, fracking can cause earthquakes, but fracking of oil, based on past records, is not known to cause earthquakes beyond the magnitude of 1 on the earthquake magnitude scale, that is. The hydraulic injection of wastewater is what is more so linked to earthquakes, felt earthquakes in magnitude 4 and above. This now brings me to the earthquake magnitude scale, for I would have replied to some of the statements questioning how an earthquake triggered by oil exploration hundreds of kilometers off Jamaica's shoreline be the one that is responsible for an earthquake that is located in the hills of St. Andrew at a depth of 17 kilometers. Essentially, earthquakes of less than 2.5 magnitude are not generally felt. 2.5 to 5.4 often felt, but of minor damage. Now, just for you to be aware, the earthquake in the hills that I make mention of would have been at a magnitude of 3. So now let's talk about the earthquake waves, or how we feel earthquakes. And basically, the energy radiating from the focus or the source goes through the Earth's interior through the body waves and along the surface, which is through the surface waves or the S waves. So this diagram is basically showing you how the earthquake waves travel through the Earth. Essentially, you have some of the waves that will go deep within the Earth, and then there are some of those waves that will also travel along the surface. Now, what it is that is important for you to understand is that the specifics of the material or the geology can either increase or decrease the speed of an earthquake in terms of the intensity. So, amplification of an earthquake, ground motion, is an increase in seismic shaking intensity caused by local geologic conditions. Examples could be the soil conditions such as soft soil like clay and sand, and sedimentary basins. Now, earthquake attenuation is the reduction in the speed and the energy of the seismic waves as they travel away from the hypocenter or where the earthquake originates from. And basically, some key factors could be that you have solid bedrock, and based on the geometric makeup of the landscape itself, those two are key factors in reducing the speed and the intensity of an earthquake, uh, greater from distance point of view, that is. Now, earthquake intensity is a measure of the shaking and damage. Generally, it decreases as distance is away from the epicenter. So essentially, if we're going to say that the drilling of oil off Jamaica's coastline is the trigger for the felt and increased felt earthquakes that Jamaica is perceived to be experiencing, then we have to take into consideration these critical factors. One, how near or far away is the actual drilling of oil? Because the farther away we are, then the less likely we are to feel the effects of it. Number two, based on the distance and the magnitude of the earthquake caused by fracking of oil off Jamaica's offshore, as many of you push it, then you also have to take into consideration how strong it may be as a trigger for an even higher magnitude earthquake, so many hundreds of kilometers away from it. That is highly an unlikely occurrence for, let's just say, these very weak uh, man made triggered earthquakes to be triggering a magnitude uh, 2 times or 20 times and above in terms of the factors of 10, that is, um, in its magnitude and intensity. That is not generally a likely occurrence. So, in that respect, that saying that again, oil drilling is the factor in Jamaica's context is not backed by actual proof. So I will recommend that we consider consulting with the Earthquake Unit of Jamaica to gather from them their data sources to basically verify where, say, for example, the oil exploration activities are occurring. If it's a case that there are some significant magnitude earthquakes that are being triggered, and in so doing, we can then see if there is actually a pattern in terms of after that earthquake is being triggered, the ones on mainland are also being the case.